My name is Buraola Obaka, and I am an Inner Circle Level 2 Yada. I rep Cohort 1C. Yo, Cohort 1C in the building. Now, before I joined the Inner Circle, I was that parent who didn't necessarily know that I had a problem, but I just knew that I wanted to be able to parent my children with a level of intentionality that I didn't know how to execute. After joining the Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro program in 2023, that was when I came across the Inner Circle. And then a friend of mine, Pamela, also sent me the link and said, oh, she was in this Inner Circle and she thinks that it would be good if I join in. So I joined it in December 2023. And I knew I wanted to parent my children better than my parents parented me, because I knew that I needed to seek out superior knowledge. And finding the Inner Circle has really given me that opportunity for superior knowledge that I can implement. So after joining the Inner Circle, I just realized that, I used to think that I was peaceful, but I realized that deep down there was some chaos going on inside me. And what the Inner Circle has done for me it has enabled me put in systems and structures that has brought back calm into my home. So I'm now able to operate at a higher level of calmness than I used to before I joined the Inner Circle. Before I joined the Inner Circle, at the time I joined the Inner Circle when my kids were 2, they were just about to turn 3. I found myself constantly shouting, constantly giving them timeouts when anything was wrong, constantly threatening them, and I just asked myself that what happens when these children are no longer young enough for me to give them a timeout, young enough for me to say go to the naughty corner and they stay? What am I going to do? So I knew that there had to be a better way of doing this, because if I didn't want to start hitting them, I needed to have come up with something. And so joining the Inner Circle gave me those tools that made me able to connect with my children before correcting them, which means that I now have a better correcting and disciplinary strategy. Because again, discipline is not what happens when your child is going wrong. It is the systems and structures that you put in place ahead of when that happens. And that is what the Inner Circle has done for me. And I'm so grateful that I actually came into the Inner Circle when the twins were still really young. And so being able to implement these strategies means that I can't even relate with certain struggles that other people say they have, because I've been able to solve them even before they arise. So it has made me a proactive parent. Now, when it comes to my marriage, before I joined the Inner Circle, I was one of those women that, I wanted to be all things in my house. I want to show myself, But joining the Inner Circle made me realize that as a woman, you have a place in the home, and it is not your duty to arise inside your house. Deborah, which is incidentally my name, Deborah did not arise in her house. She arose for the children of Israel. So I have learned to live the baby girl life in my house. And what I have noticed this has done in my marriage is that it has given my husband the opportunity to lead. Because what happened was that I wasn't even giving him that opportunity. And then I would complain that he wasn't doing one or two things. When before he even does it, I've done it. So I wasn't even giving him that opportunity to lead. But being in the Inner Circle has helped me to be able to give my husband the opportunity to lead, and then take my rightful role as the popping wife that I am. Also, it has helped me to be able to give my husband a certain degree of honor that I didn't know I wasn't giving, or didn't even know how to give in the first place. But it has helped me recognize the fact that there are some things that you do that you don't even know are dishonorable, but they are. And it has helped me live in that consciousness, so that when I'm relating with my husband, I know that, okay, no, this is dishonorable. This is dishonorable. And it's really in the little things. And that in itself has helped my marriage blossom more. Also, in relation to my marriage, being in the Inner Circle made me aware of the Marriage Seal Academy, which I now joined, at the beginning of this year, and it has been very instrumental to my marriage. The lessons shared in the Marriage Seal Academy, our courses, our webinars, they are always timely and apt. And so they have really helped me, to be able to create a more conducive marital environment with my husband. Before I joined the inner circle, I didn't even know that having a vision as a parent was a thing, But guess what? One of the first assignments you do in the inner circle is to have a family vision, mission, and core value plaque done, printed out, and pasted on the wall. And it's simple. If you don't have a vision, if you don't know where you're going to, how can you lead yourself or anybody else there? One of the first things I learned was that you need to run your family like a business. And what does that mean? It means that you run it with systems and structures. You don't do things anyhow, because anyhowness produces anyhow results. So what the inner circle has helped me be able to do is that it has helped me, number one, understand that things that I do, every single thing that I do needs to be systemized, needs to be put into a structure that makes it possible for that thing to be implementable. And so because I joined the inner circle, I now knew that I could create a structure to my discipline, to my teaching of emotional intelligence, to my teaching of social intelligence, to my teaching of sex education, to my teaching of relationship with peers, to my teaching of marriage. Like, it's so insane that right now, when you even ask my 4-year-old, who are the people that we're allowed to marry, they'll tell you we're only allowed to marry people who align with our family values. And then they will go ahead and tell you what our family values were. I can't imagine being able to I wouldn't have even known that these were things I had to start implementing from that age, So it has really helped me to be able to build a parenting plan, have a document that I'm working with, that is constantly being updated. And it has helped me to be able to develop a blueprint for myself, for my kids, and for the family at large. So to any parent who is on the fence, who is on the wall, who is wondering, what is it that they want to tell me about parenting again? I just have one thing to tell you. You don't know what you don't know. You may not even know that you need the academy. And that's the thing. So it's not about saying, oh, I don't need it, my kids are good, my this is this. You need to come into the academy, because the truth of the matter is that as I tell all the people I bring in, I can't even explain to you what happens to you in the academy. The academy is something that has to be personally experienced to be understood. So what I will tell you is that if you come to the academy and you don't get value after your first year, come and collect your money from me. Yes, I'm saying it with my full chest, and I'm good for the money. All right.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to day one of the TIP Annual Conference 2025. It has been nothing short of incredible. The King's mandate, impact, influence, and inheritance. My name is Grace of Motoshaw, and I am honored to be your host for this session. Thank you, Coach Wendy and the TIP team for this opportunity. I do not take it for granted. And I am not here alone. I have my co-host, Chris Isweke. Hello, Chris. Okay, I guess he's having a bit of a network challenge, but have we been feeling the fire? The nuggets have been so much. In fact, my notes are full. Please grab a glass of cold water if you have to. If you have to grab a glass of cold water, please grab a glass and go to the comment section. Put down just one lesson that you have learned so far, just one lesson that has stood out for you in this conference. Put it in the comment section. Yes. So it's been such a time of learning, raw insight, and raw wisdom. From the opening speaker to the fourth speaker, the sessions have been so profound. In fact, I'm sure there's no one here that is feeling the same way since this conference started today. It's been incredible. If you have not joined the inner circle, please book your slot now. Don't say, don't wait for tomorrow. Don't say you book your slot tomorrow. Please book your slot now for the inner circle. Because what you are getting here is just a tip of the iceberg. You have not seen anything yet. This is just scratching the surface of what we learn every day, 365 days of the inner circle. And currently, there is a 24-hour promo going on in the inner circle. A 24-hour promo going on. So for if you are just one parent, you get to pay 10,000 naira to book your slots, and the inner circle for a full year is 120,000 naira. But for couples, it's 20,000 to book your slot and 200,000 naira for couples. Please book your slot today. Now, inner circle, some people will ask, I'm sure a lot of us, some of us that have just joined today would ask, what is this inner circle? What is this inner circle? Inner circle is where we learn how to parent intentionally. I call it my pavilion of safety. It is an experience that transforms you inside out. In fact, no single person can explain what the inner circle is really. Oh, it's a place to be. Inner circle is a place to be. Now, I want us to take a moment and share the link to this session. Share it to your friends, your family, your acquaintances, in fact, everyone. Share this link because you do not want this knowledge all for yourself. You also want others to partake in it. And you want those around you to also know what you know, right? So share the link. Tell them that TIP Annual Conference 2025 has started with a big bang. Yes. So our next session is coming up now. Our next session is coming up now, and this is the fifth session. I'm sure you have your notes and your pen just with you. Please do not just come and say, wow, wow, wow. Write down so that you can always go back, read, and implement. Yes. So our fourth speaker is a dad coach, a legacy mentor, and one that wears many hats, as you would see. Yes. So let's roll out the red carpet. Inner circle members, you know how we do it. Put in the comment section the fire emojis to welcome our next speaker. Let's roll out the red carpet for King Jowers as he speaks on navigating fatherhood
Our next speaker brings a deep well of experience, empathy, and insight to the parenting conversation, not from theory, but from real life. Jowers is a dad coach, author, veteran, 30-year law enforcement officer, and the founder of Dads for Life, an international non-profit committed to helping fathers connect with purpose by investing in their greatest earthly asset, their children. Pete's story began with deep personal loss. His father passed away when he was just 11 years old. He knows firsthand what it means to grow up without a father's voice, without that anchor, and without that guidance. That boy created a longing and eventually a calling. Determined to break the cycle, Keith spent his life preparing to become the father he never had. But the journey wasn't perfect. After going through a painful divorce, he found himself fighting for connection with his daughter Christina. It was that daily, intentional pursuit of relationship that changed everything. Together, they co-authored Part-Time Dad, Full-Time Heart, a powerful book and testimony of hope, healing, and restoration. Today, Keith coaches fathers all over the world, teaching them that being present is a decision, not just a position. He also leads the Daily Connections radio show and podcast, offers group and private coaching, and has written 4 books, including his children's series, Meet Officer Keith. He holds a bachelor's degree in marketing, a master's in counseling, and a doctorate in leadership organization. But beyond the degrees, he will always be first to tell you, I'm a life learner. Every day is a chance to grow. He served his community for decades in law enforcement as an officer-friendly, school resource officer, and community mentor. He also served in multiple ministry roles from youth pastor to financial counselor, always bringing his heart and humor into every space. He and his wife Glenda have been married for 32 years and served together in ministry. He's also a proud grandee to his 3 grandchildren, Hannah, Judah, and Abby. And when he's not coaching or speaking, you'll find him tending his cattle farm, playing drums, or maybe quoting lyrics from classic rock songs. You've been warned. He wants to be remembered as a kind-hearted man of God who encouraged others, corrected his wrongs, and lived with intention. Please welcome to TIP 2025, a voice of strength for fathers, a man who turned pain into purpose, Keith Jowers.
Hello. You hear me?
Yes, we have our speaker here, Kate Jowers. Wow, it's so amazing to have you here with us this evening. Thank you for accepting to do this with us. Now, you can go on with your session. Take it away.
Well, thank you so much. And I have done this before. I just enjoy everything that Wendy does, and also with Celia earlier. I feel like I have to follow Celia. I've got a lot to to hold up to there because I just love Celia. My wife and I are friends, dear friends with her, as well as now Wendy. We found out about Wendy and her what the work she does for fatherhood and parents, and through Celia. So it's so exciting to be with you again, and I just am so blessed to be here, Wendy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You've actually touched my heart today, Wendy, because it made me think. A moment ago, it came to me that we actually started a work a few years back called Dads International, which is part of Dads for Life. But it's been kind of on the back burner since COVID for a while. So you just encouraged me by inviting me in today. I said, you know what? There's dads everywhere around our nation, around our country, around our world, rather. And it's just amazing as to where we are at today. That with through technology, when it works, right? It is amazing what we can do to reach and teach and help another person. You know, I've always believed that if you go through life helping only yourself, you'll go through life alone. And I coined that phrase about 15 years ago, and now it comes back to me because, you know, looking at that introduction, my goodness, somebody's done some work on that and some research because I looked a little younger in that video, but I am very honored to be here. Wendy and your team are amazing, and we're so excited. And for me to follow Celia now, that's a blessing as well. So let's talk about navigating fatherhood and what that actually means. You know, in the dictionary here, I pulled it up on the dictionary through the internet, and it just basically said fatherhood's a noun. Wow, that's pretty good information, right? but it's talking about the state of being a father, and fathers collectively, as a group of fathers or something, but the qualities or spirit of a father. And that's where I want to lead to today. It's much more than just a definition of fatherhood. I call it, anybody can be a man can be a father, but can he be a dad? And I think in being involved in dads, helping a dad be all that he can be in life is a calling for my wife and I. We started back in 2004. I had been through a divorce in the early 80s, and it wasn't something I really wanted, but I had a 1.5-year-old daughter, and I decided I would never leave her side. So I didn't. And I was involved in her, and now we have those 3 dividends that you spoke of, Hannah, Judah, and Abigail, in the introduction there. Because I think the more you involve yourself as a dad, regardless of the situation, and same for moms too, we have to be involved in our kids' life. But if you are in a divorce situation or a separated situation, then you have your own input into that child's life, as long as it's positive input. It was said earlier, talking about positive and negative. Well, I think you must be positive in your child's life. It's being more than a father is what I like call just being a dad. And it's being present. It's listening sometimes, when you more than you speak sometimes, and dads are hard to do that sometimes. We want to speak more sometimes, But something Celia said that really touched my heart earlier in her session was that the yelling and the screaming and being, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. In 30 years of law enforcement, I worked as a school resource officer for about 20 years of that, and I saw the results of that. And because actually being involved with them every single day of my life, they came to me, and I was their father to some. I was their pastor to others. I was their counselor. I was their encourager. I was a lot to those kids because I felt like they needed somebody. And I just believe that being a father is one thing, but being a dad is so much more. Keeping those promises that you make to your children, and not letting your past failures become their present problems. Your past problems and failures affecting your parenting towards them. Like, you'll never be that. Just because you were told that doesn't mean that they won't ever be that. See, I always encourage our daughter that you go for your dreams. You go for everything you possibly can. And then she come to me and said, Dad, I want to go work on a cruise ship. Now that one threw me, but we talked through it. We got her, and she was, that's where God actually was leading her to lead her where she's at today. And I see being a father is one thing, but being a dad is so much more. It's so true. And when you get it in your heart that being a dad, you're not always right, Dad. I'll just tell you like it is. Growing up without a dad myself, my dad died when I was 11 years old. And it was very difficult for me. But I took care of my mom. I wanted to go to work right at 11 years old, but I wasn't allowed to. So then I started working. Well, at 12 years old, I could deliver newspapers. So everything I did was to help my mom then, because my dad was no longer there. But it's so important to be a father and involved. But even as a child, when you don't have that father involvement, it can lead you astray. It certainly can. And when children have that secure and supportive, sensitive, warm, and that relationship with their fathers, they're more likely, to be well adjusted and be positive, because it can affect them psychologically. It truly can. It did with me, because Dad wasn't there. I would build up that anger inside of me, and I would hold it down like a pressure cooker. And one day I was at school, and I had a couple of bullies, thought they would just, talk bad about my situation. And that pressure cooker exploded. If you've ever cooked and you've messed with a pressure cooker like I did when I was a kid, it went everywhere. And but see, when we talk positive things to our children, it can help relieve that, where they never explode like that, like a pressure cooker would. Your father involvement actually, it contributes to the overall family well-being, regardless of the situation. I've worked with back in 2004, when I really wasn't planning to start an organization. I was working with 4 dads going through divorce. And the main thing I kept throwing across was that you be involved in your kids' life. Regardless of how this comes out in the courts, you stay involved in your children's lives. And it paid off for a lot of them. So those 4, and of course, now we're across the world on the internet through Dads for Life Ministries there. But when they have that secured, positive input from a father and a mother, because we have those different roles, it is so much more important. And that's true. Fatherhood is a ministry. It's a calling, because you have to be there for those kids. Because let me tell you, in the world today, if you're not involved, somebody's going to be involved. And in law enforcement for 30 years, I can tell you, I've seen a lot of kids hurt because they have no love at home. I remember a particular situation where a child had cut herself multiple times on each arm. And I said, why? Honey, why did you do that? And she said, because that was how many times, it was actually 75 times on each arm, that she wasn't feeling loved. So 150 times she never felt love from her father because he wasn't throwing those positive inputs into her life. There are benefits to being a father, benefits to being a dad, more positive father-child relationship, increased self-confidence and satisfaction from parenting. I mean, you can look back and say, "Oh, I made some mistakes there, but I'm really sorry." I mean, you can apologize to your child, and it's okay. I had to apologize to my daughter growing up. A higher level of empathy and understanding is one of the benefits from being a father. Increased resiliency in stressful situations, the ability to feel greater pride and find more meaning and joy from life, more likely to engage in community and service-oriented activities. Those are some benefits because you can help your child learn how to help others. And like earlier, Celia was talking about those 5 things that you want to see your child or what you were doing, what came up in your life or how you want your child to be, the integrity, the loyalty, the honesty, and kindness, and being involved in the community. Teach your children how to be involved. But you know what? The best way to do that is to show it. You can't tell your kids, I'm not going to yell at you, and then you start yelling at them. You can't tell them, hey, don't do drugs, and you're doing drugs. You have to show them a positive way of doing things, because they're going to learn from you. Trust me. I know. The lack of involvement. Let me tell you, according to U.S. Census Bureau here in America, 18 million children, my friends, that's nearly 1 in every 4 live without a biological stepfather or adoptive father in their home. That's enough children to fill New York City here in America or Los Angeles 4 times over. That's a lot of children. And we have the highest number of fatherless children of any nation in the world. Every nation has fatherless children. We know that. But for us to be one of the leaders in that, it's just not something I'm proud of. That's for sure. Fathers are absolutely, they're absent approximately 80% of the single parent homes here in America. Fatherless children are more likely to abuse drugs and alcohol. I dealt with a lot of those kids. I actually talked to a lot of kids who were on drugs and who were on alcohol, and they felt like that was their only outsource they could do to make them feel some of the pain, or not have as much pain back home. You see, we can cause that as parents, mothers and fathers. We can do that. We can cause a lot of pain in our children's lives. Talk to your children about things going on. Talk to them about their friends. There's a new one, right? Well, I know parents, I've talked to parents that, I don't know who my kids' friends are. Well, you should, talk to them about what's on this thing here, their phone that they carry around. Talk to them. Communication, with all this technology, communication to me is still the best technology for me, because I love to just talk to people and find out what's going on. A text can get misconstrued, and an email can get misconstrued. But when you talk to people, you can talk out and have a conversation. 63%, and this one really bothers me. I've seen this. 63% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes. 70% of juveniles in state-operated institutions, I'm talking about America here, come from single-parent homes. 85% of children who exhibit behavior disorders are from fatherless homes. Incarcerated fathers, there's about 7.4 million children have a parent that's in prison, in jail, or under some kind of correctional supervision. That's way too many. Way too many. Some men today don't know how to be a dad because they never had a good example. We as dads have to have we have to be that example for our children. You know, when you want to teach your child a sport, you might hire a coach. You might hire them to learn how to hit better or throw a football better. Well, you're really the coach, but you have to be that positive coach. And yes, there's going to be stressful times. I understand that, but you really have to be a positive coach. You know, I had a football coach that made me do some things I didn't like in high school, but he also was teaching me, and he really cared, and I knew it deep down, even though he made me run some extra laps. Being a dad does not have to be complicated. My friends, I mean, we make it complicated sometimes. We're so busy. I remember a dad that used to come home all the time from work, and what he did is went straight to work. Well, he's home, and his children want to just be involved with him and talk to him and tell him about their day, but yet he goes to work. Well, he's been at work all day. Children come home. Now he don't have any time with his children. And, you know, that can add a lot of stress in not only the parent's life, but also the child's life. So being a dad it doesn't have to be complicated. We make it complicated because that's the way stressors and life circumstances affect us sometimes in our lives. But some we have no control over, but some we do, like that. You come home, leave that work. I know that you can do it maybe after they go to bed if you need to, but leave that work outside for a while. Those stressors and life circumstances happen. They're impacting an engagement, a relationship building with family members or coworkers can be a stressor. A spousal conflict, a separation, a divorce can be stressor. Previously, kids that I talked with said, my parents are divorced. They never show up for anything at my school, or maybe the mom does, but the dad's not there. And that really caused them a lot of stress. So previously modeled father-son relationships between you and your own father may be making you the kind of father you are today. Or you can take it a step further and say, I'm going to be a different dad. Remember, I didn't have a dad. At 11 years old, he died one night. And it was right there in the hallway next to my bedroom. So my mom found him, and I found out the next morning when I was awakened by all the noise, and come to find out that was a lot of stress on my mom. There was a lot of stress on me, the family, our friends, because they had business with my dad. It was a very difficult situation. There are some things you just cannot avoid as a stressor or a life circumstance. But it's how we respond to that, though. How do we respond to that in anger? Do we get mad? Do we go drinking? Do we go do drugs, whatever? Or does our kids see us handling it and saying, God's going to get us through this? Previously modeled relationships can be that stressor. Adverse circumstances such as unemployment, mental illness, substance abuse, and domestic violence, all those can be stressors. Some of them we can't control, my friends. Some of them we can. And it creates chaos in our life. Chaos is just simply a condition or a place of disorder or confusion. It can be disorganized in our life. It can make you feel stressed. It can make you feel uncertain in life. But the thing is that how do we handle that? How do we find that balance in our lives with chaos when it comes around? Basically, when you have chaos, you can look at these pictures here, chaos in the family, chaos, kids, when you and the mom are screaming at each other, or you and other family members are screaming at each other, kids don't want to hear that. You'll see kids do that. I'm sure that maybe Celia has talked with parents who said their kids they do this because, see, think they don't want to hear that. They got enough stress in their own life at school. So you certainly don't want to create more chaos in their life if you can help it. You got to help them find balance. You got to help them find that balance between chaos and try to have some calmness in your life. Because if you do, then you can have that balance that can help the whole family get along better. Our daughter and husband, they're pastors and up in North America there, and they have 3 kids, and there's always something going on with the kids or with the church, or they're always going here and there, and they try to bring the family together, do it. And sometimes they're going in different directions. They have to plan that out. So you have to make a plan when you have all these schedules going on, and then that way, maybe it can create a little bit better, less chaos in your life. So you want to find that balance. But let's talk about parental authority a little bit. It refers to the rights and responsibilities that parents have to care and make decisions for their minor children. It encompasses the obligation to raise that child and manage their property, things that they have, and ensure their well-being. This includes decisions about their education, health, residence, and interactions with others. You can do this without screaming and yelling. And reach out to one of these speakers here. Celia, she definitely teaches how not to yell at your children. You can do that. You can actually do that. But you have to first learn how to do it inside. You have to calm yourself. But have that parental authority that you have to make sometimes decisions for your children. Let's just make positive decisions, especially as a dad. I think if you find that balance between the chaos and the calmness of your life, the better off the whole family will be. So I want to talk about how do we find calmness in our life. And I know that Celia touched on that a little bit. And so is there another slide for that? Okay. So when we talk about the calmness that can be affected in our lives, it so much can help us as a dad, especially we can control that. We can control our own calmness, and we're able to control that with our child's life, or help our child find calmness. We recently went on vacation with our grandchildren, and sometimes that can be a little stressful. So I was talking to one of my grandchildren about just remaining calm. Just don't let things get out of hand, because it makes them feel like Celia just mentioned there. It makes them feel safe, especially at home. That should definitely be the place where they feel most calm. And if they don't, then things can get a little complicated, and it can cause a real problem in their life. But Dad, you are the most important person that can show them on the father side, how to maybe handle situations. Kids today have so much going on in school, so much going on in their after school activities that going on. And it is just so much going on in their lives. You can show them how to balance that as a father. But sometimes we have to learn that ourselves. There's so much out there today that we can learn from with all the YouTube channels and all that. We can learn some things of how to maybe remain calm ourselves. Fatherhood is very vital to the overall well-being of the child. Your child deserves a father figure if they don't have one or their biological father isn't involved. Great point. If you're going to a church or something and there's some men there, maybe some grandfathers. I'm a grandfather now, and I'm so blessed. I'm so thankful. I think if you are really involved with your children, then one day you would actually be able to have that dividend called a grandchild, right? Because I believe that's your interest on all that investment that you did with your child. But maybe you don't have children. Maybe your children are grown and moved away. But maybe you can be that father figure to a child that is basically that you see
Okay, so I guess our speaker is having a little bit of issue, but he will be back shortly.
Sorry. I am so sorry. I don't know what happened there. So anyway, but you can be that positive influence as a dad. I think your parental authority needs to come through in a positive manner. And there are some key aspects to that. The care and upbringing. Parents are responsible for their child's physical and emotional well-being. In the decision making, parents have that right and obligation to make important decisions about the child's life. Representation, you're representing that child. And even in the school system, and you've probably heard a lot of some stuff about our school system here, and things are going on in different states. Be involved in your children's education and represent them positively, so they can see there are positive ways to handle situations. Boundaries and guidance is parental authority involves setting clear boundaries and expectations for the children and guiding them towards that responsible behavior. And an end of parental authority actually becomes usually when the child becomes an adult, usually whatever that age of majority is, usually 18. But you know what? If you want to be a dad for life or a mom for life, if you do everything ahead of time and build that interest on that investment, they're always going to be there for you. Our daughter's on up there in age now, and these 3 children, and sometimes she'll still call us and we'll talk about different things going on in life, because you do, as mentioned here, you do have the power to influence your child. You know, there's so much negativity out there in the world. Just turn on the news in any nation you're at, and you can see the negativity that's out there. And it's really not positive for anybody today, whether you're an adult or a child. But you know, when children see that, if you have the news on constantly and they all are hearing is the bad, the bad, the bad, they're not thinking about the future in a positive manner. But you, as their parent, you have that parental authority. You can help them find those positive avenues to go down in their lives. There's so much out there. And please, whatever you do, know what's on their phone, know what they're listening to, know what they're looking at on the internet, because it is unbelievable. I've been in law enforcement and I'm still around it a little bit. The things that children find themselves getting wrapped up in, and they're not being safe. And you have to keep your children, do everything you can to keep them safe. And when they say, well, you know, that's my phone, that's my privacy. Well, are you paying the bill? If you're paying the bill, then it becomes your property, in my opinion. But you just have to, you know, talk to them positively about that. Talk to them about the right choices they make. Talk to them about, okay, what is your friends? Did they really, are they just hanging out with you because you can give them something, or are they really your friend? You know, recently, my wife and I have had some friends get very sick, and a couple of them have passed. So we have to be there regardless. We're still there through that thick and thin of everything going on. But then also we have to think about, okay, after, you're still there for the family. You're still doing what you can to be there for someone, because they need a friend. That's what true friendship is. It's not a friend, not a like on Facebook, okay? It's not a click on Facebook or social media. But you as a parent can set that a positive example. You as a parent can be that light for them in those dark moments. And there's a lot of dark moments involving our children today around the world. So you are so vital as a father, as a dad, as a mom. You are so vital, regardless if you're together, which is wonderful, or if you're apart. Be there for that child and the positive choices they need to make for their life. So I have a couple of slides here. There you go. We're talking about the calmness there. What calmness can actually do, can help you focus and be balanced and show gratitude, and you can be in harmony. Look at these pictures here. It's just families that are in harmony, and because it's so much better, isn't it? I mean, if you've been around chaos and you've been around calmness, then you know that calmness is much better, right? Celia says, discuss with your child what makes a good friend. So important. It truly is. And when you really look at it, you're going to wind up about maybe a half a dozen or sometimes less of friends who's going to be with you all the way through life. And, so it's so important to teach them that social media friends may not be your real friends. They may just be a like or something. But you as a person, when you communicate with someone, especially your children, you can be there for them in the darkest days. I think that the state of being calm and quiet in your life can show you, dad and mom, you can show your children how to remain calm and be quiet sometimes. The best time of day sometimes is in the morning. If you listen to Jim Rohn, Rohn, Jim Rohn, he was a wonderful influencer and wonderful teacher. And he would actually talk about that first hour of your morning is so important. Don't just get up and start your day without thinking through your day and trying to, get yourself going in your own mind and get yourself ready for the day before you go out and try to influence someone else, especially your children. And I worked with school crossing guards for a while here in when I was in law enforcement. And I would tell them that you may be the only positive thing or person that child would see that day, because the parents may have not done it before they left house. They may not even gave them lunch. The teacher may be having a bad day. You may be the only person. So you, mom, you, dad, can be that positive person in your child's life. Now, you may have to discipline them, yes, but in a way of taking things away or whatever it is. But the thing is that they have to understand you have that authority as a parent. One important reason to stay calm is that calm parents hear more. They're low key, accepting parents are the ones whose children keep talking. So let your children talk. Listen. That's why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? It's easier you can listen twice as much as we talk sometimes. But sometimes if you listen, like I did as a school resource officer, I listened to kids a lot, and the things they would say and that I would pick up on. So you have to be there for your children in the darkest days. That's right, Miss Grace. You just have to be there because you may be the only one there for them. Their friends. Yeah, I've seen too much of that. All of us that work with parents or work with kids and in the parent industry, we know that we've seen things that our kids are having to learn the hard way. Well, we can be that voice for them, that positive voice for them. If you do that, if you find that balance between chaos and calmness in your life, your balance is essential because it allows us to experience the fullness of life, the ups and downs. Your kids are going to have them because you've had them, right? It's just part of life. If you do that, if you embrace the flexibility and you encourage each other and develop family routines and create sacred spaces for them, your communication is the key in every situation to do that. But when you do that, you're going to find out your life is going to be so much calmer. It's going to be so much easier when you do that. So when I talk to dads, I do dads. I wrote a book called Parenting Keys, and having these keys to relationships and how you can relate to them now and help them now, and then later in life they're going to continue asking for your help. That is the reward. Not that they're, still. Yeah, I mean, you want to launch them, right? You want them to go, but you want to be there when they need you the most. And because when you do that, you're going to find the balance between those two. The calmness and the chaos is much better on the calmness side. Allow them to talk, even if it's illogical to your adult brain. Allow them to talk. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because sometimes, well, I was involved in a lot of extracurricular things as a police officer when I was working in the schools, just because I wanted to hear kids talk. And some of the things I could learn was awesome. It would help me on some things I was actually working with. So, but we can do this, parents. And I think I have a picture here of two parents that started. There they are in the center, and they had children. Well, now they have 100 grandchildren and great grandchildren. Can you imagine? Do you think it was just all calmness all throughout all their lives? No. But those two in the middle, they started it. The ripple effect. In anything we do, my friends, the ripple effect. The decisions we make, who else are they going to affect? Or positive or negative? But look at this. If you think about that, that's awesome. That is a God's blessing right there for sure. So when you do that, when you do all that you can do, and listen to your children, and as Sister was saying, a calm parent hear more. Stop shouting and yelling at them, because when you listen, I'm sure those two parents in the middle right there that started all that, I'm sure they listened to a lot of their children, their grandchildren, their great grandchildren, all their needs. But you know what? Not everything's perfect. It never is. But you know what? You're there for a reason. Your children need you, mom. Your children need you, dad. Be a dad for life. Be a mom for life. Be a grandparent for life. That's where we're at now in our lives. If you want to reach out to Dads for Life, we're actually in our 21st year. That's our old banner, because they do follow our leads. We have several podcasts. We'll start a couple more here this summer. One's called Dad's Garage, talking about restoration. One's called Studio 425. We talk about different film stuff we're going to be doing. There's a new movie or series I'm working on right now. We're raising money to do that because we want to talk about the crossroads in our lives. When people come to a crossroad, do you take the hard road or do you take the easy road? Sometimes the hard road is where you need to take it, right? But it's just stories about people's lives and how we come together. So we're raising money to film that. And then we also have audio podcasts we're going to start soon. We have a financial program. And we actually have Dads International too. And I need to start thinking about that a little bit more. Thanks to Wendy inviting me here. I think Wendy was a little God wink to me that we have more dads out there internationally that could use a little assistance as well. So may God bless each and every one of you. And thank you, Wendy, for all you do. May God bless you. Now, any questions I may try to help somebody with?
Wow. Are you just a father or are you a dad? That was a session so profound, such an inspiring session. Thank you so much, sir. We do not take this for granted. TIP family, what's that one thing you're taking away from this session? Are you still on your seats? Because the fire has been hitting left, right, and center. I'm sure some of us have questions. Please drop your questions in the comment section and we'll take some of your questions. Please drop your questions. Now, two things stood out for me in this session. One is, if you are not involved, someone else is going to be involved. And the second one, allow them talk, even if it's illogical to your logical brain. We know it all. We are intelligent, but please just allow them talk. Thank you so much, sir. Please drop your questions in the comment section so we can take few questions. Okay, we have one question right here. So we have one question. Please help us with this. It's on your screen right there. Thank you.
Sure. we all have to have an income. We have to have money to coming in, and I understand that completely. My wife and I now are in our retirement years. We we've helped a lot of families understand budgeting and how to how to budget your money, and that's what that Edge program is. There, we help people just budget their money because we all have some coming in and everything going out. It seems like sometimes, but you have to. We took our daughter at 16 years old and we showed her the light bill. And we said, okay, so here is, you got to understand, one day you're going to get a job, you're going to start making money and all after school. And then you have to learn a budget and how to do that. And then even though you can do that, you have to get in your mindset, okay, the money we need, well, we may not be millionaires, okay, but we have money that we need to survive. And how you budget that money and everything is very important, obviously. So, but when you feel as though you're chasing that more than you're chasing your kids, then you have to ask yourself, and what I feel, God, what am I doing wrong? Show me the way. Show me the way. Because when I've talked to men that have done that, and they finally realize that, I mean, we all need money, obviously. So, but just plan it out, balance it out, but make sure you're balancing your kids out more. So, how do you correct children when we feel when they're mistaking without affecting their self-confidence? Well, dads will do it one day, moms will do it another way. I know. And then sometimes I've heard parents and mom will ask dad to do the discipline, and dads will ask moms, go see your mom. She'll take care of it or whatever. But the thing is that there's plenty of resources here through this Parent Academy. Reach out and find out what the best way is for your situation, because not everybody's situation are the same. Just like not every dad's the same, not every mom's the same, and definitely not every child's personality are the same. What happens if you have a husband but feels like you're the only one who is involved in parenting? That's a mother, and the man doesn't really care. I'm a chaplain as well, and when I talk to men, I would just suggest that maybe he try to find some help, but if he doesn't really care, then he needs to find somebody that can talk to him about that, because that's very sad. My mom had to do it, but she was forced to do it, when my dad died. But when you are the only one, then you're the only one. And my mom, she had some tough times after my dad died. But you know what? She said, it's not what would dad do. I'm here, so what do I do? And then one day, I've told dads this. I said, you're gonna regret not being involved in your children's lives. You have to be involved in your children's lives if you want the dividends on the other end. And being in the film industry and all, and I've seen movies where, dads wish they had been involved. They're on their dying bed. They're not asking for more money. They're not asking for a bigger house or bigger car. They're asking if they just had more time with their child. Well, you can set that example now, Dad. So, and pray for him. He needs direction, because we can't leave our children just to be out there. We can't. We can see what the world will do to them, right? But you, Mom, you stayed the course. You keep building that relationship with your children, and we pray that one day that he'll come along with you. So, was there another one? Okay.
Thank you, sir, for this very insightful session. Thank you so much. We are blessed to have you with us today. We do hope that when next we call on you, you will do us the honors. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you.
All right. If I can help any of them, they can reach out to me. But thank you, Wendy. Thank you to your team. Thank you as a host. You guys have just been so gracious today. So, but just keep looking up and to know that God is with you. So,
thank you, sir.
All right.
And what most of the things we have learned today reminds me of what we learn every day in the inner circle. Most of the speakers have pointed out to connection, which is the basis of intentional parenting. If you don't connect, you cannot get to the heart of your children. You would not even know what's happening. You think you are close to your children, but you do not know your children. If you have not booked your slot for the inner circle, I don't know what you're doing. There's a 24-hour discount for the inner circle, 24-hour discount, so you can book your slot. One parent can book with 10,000 naira, and a couple can book with 20,000 naira. Book your slot now, because parenting is learned. You need to learn how to parent better, especially in these times. Now, to everyone watching, stay plugged in. Our next session begins shortly. Kindly go to the WhatsApp community to get the link to the next session. Thank you, Coach Wendy and the TIP team, for this opportunity to moderate this session. I do not take it for granted. My name is Grace Omotosho. See you in the next session.
Hello everyone, my name is Olushola Omekunle, level 1 year. I'm based in the UK. TIP has been a wonderful experience for me. Before I joined TIP, I also have a struggle with my first daughter, in the sense that we brought her up using screen, to do a lot of teachings and everything with her. And so she gets used to it, and gradually it becomes so difficult for her that she can't do anything without watching screen, and when you try to take the screen, either the devices that she's using at that time, or try to turn out the TV, she threw tantrums, and she started screaming and fighting. And we know that there's something wrong, but we don't have the right skills to do what we need to do to be able to help her. And one of the days, I met a senior friend, and she introduced me to TIP. If I have heard about TIP, I said no, and she said, oh, I should join the program and I would like it. And boom, and that's how I started, and I got myself into TIP, got myself into the inner circle, and begin to have a lot of teachings that help parents, to guide their children, build up the structures for their family, and I've never regretted it. And one of the things we did that time was that we now try to create a lot of plans, playing moments with the kids, coloring, playing with puzzle, to shift the focus away from using the screen to developing herself and learning through other means. And by that time, gradually, and she started, getting off the screen, reducing the time thing, and the tantrum stops, and the every challenges that goes with the screen reduce and stop at the moment. And by now she is okay. She's hardly even doesn't focus on trying to get the screen. And another thing that I learned in TIP, and that is encouraging for me, is how to connect with my children and how to be able to work with them intelligently and manage my emotions. I can't forget the course emotional intelligence. We have kids, and the way they behave sometimes to express themselves because they are kids is challenging, and because we don't understand them as parents, we think that the children are just there to disturb us and all that. Also through TIP, I was able to have the right skills and knowledge to handle the kids if they're expressing their emotions in a way that feels challenging. I'm able to connect with them, I'm able to be patient with them, I'm able to get to understand what they really need, and a lot of things I can talk about and that TIP has done for us. So if you're not in TIP yet, I will encourage you to join TIP, and you will never regret doing so. Thank you.
Did anyone teach you how to handle money while growing up? I guess not. Most adults learn the hard way through debt and financial stress. But here's the thing, your child does not have to repeat that same cycle. The Naira Academy has created the Money Click Kids program, where your child can learn how to save, budget, spend wisely, and understand the basics of investing. So what are you waiting for? Enroll your child in the 2026 Money Click Kids program and give your child the head start you didn't have.